Dr.MGR Educational and Research Institute, University, Madurai, Chennai. Dr.MGR Educational and Research Institute, University, Madurai, Chennai.
A pleasant afternoon and warm hello to all connected here. It gives immense pleasure for us, the Department of English, Adayalampattu Phase II Campus, Dr.MGR Educational Research Institute, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, in meeting you all today for the national level webinar on Familiarizing Digital Literature to Digital Negatives by distinguished Dr. Nagalakshmi, Associate Professor of English, VISTAS, Pallavaram, Chennai. Well, I'm Jayamata, Assistant Professor, and I shall be your host for the day. The objective of the webinar is to give an overview of a history and genre of electronic literature, familiarity with key works of flash poetry, kinetic poetry, and hypertext fiction. We sincerely hope you all enthusiastic participants connected here will have so much to learn from the source person of today. In the virtual studio, we also have Deputy Dean Academics Dr. A.R. Arunachalam, Head in charge of Department of English Mrs. A. Julie Elizabeth, Professor Dr. P. Hashini, and Assistant Professor Ms. R. Akshaya from the Department English. Dear participants, both new and old, from all over the nation, I have some info for all of you. There will be a feedback link which will be posted in the YouTube description box at end of the session. You all are requested to click and fill and submit the form before 6 p.m. today to instantly receive your certificate in your register email. The feedback link will be deactivated later. In case of any questions as regard to this topic, which you would like to know more, resource person, kindly utilize this chat box so that at the end of the session, we can clear it from here. Now we have Dr. P. Hashini, Associate Professor, Department of English, who is all excited and eagerly waiting to welcome the enthusiastic gathering. To you now, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Here is an enthusiastic welcome, immense and warm enough to include you all. To say we are thrilled and ecstatic to see you all is an understatement. I really consider it a gratifying honor to be called here on behalf of the Department of English, Adayalampattu Phase II Campus of Dr.MGR Educational and Research Institute, University, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, to welcome you all for this national level webinar by eminent Dr. N. Nagalakshmi, Associate Professor of English, Wales Institute of Science, Technology and Advanced Studies, Pallavaram, Chennai, on the topic Familiarizing Digital Literature to Digital Natives. At the outset, let me express my heartiest gratitude to our Honorable Founder Chancellor, Dr. A.C. Shanmugam, and beloved President, Engineer A.C.S. Arun Kumar, for all the support and guidance they have been rendering till date. It is their powerful leadership combined with towering encouragement that many good academic programs are organized and running smoothly till date, garnering tremendous response from academicians all over the world. I am equally grateful to our distinguished Vice Chancellor, Dr. S. Geeta Lakshmi, eminent Registrar, Dr. C.B. Palanivelu, and Dean EPA, Dr. L. Ramesh, for supporting us and granting approval to conduct many events for the benefit of the literary and language community. It is my pleasure to extend a cordial welcome to the eminent dignitaries of our Phase II campus, our Joint Registrar Dr. S. Ramalingam and Dean Dr. S. Manivannan. They have been providing enormous strength and support for our department and the campus as a whole. I place here my hearty welcome to our ever vibrant and hard-working Deputy Deans of Phase II Campus, Dr. A.R. Arunachalam and Professor K. Sendal Kumar, who take up responsibility of academics and administration respectively. Their encouragement towards our department can never be expressed in mere words. I am indebted to Dr. N. Nagalakshmi, our resource person of today, who, despite her busy schedule, agreed to inspire us with a need of the hour topic on digital literature. I am sure her topic will be an eye opener for all faculty members, research scholars, and students alike. We extend a hearty welcome to you, ma'am. I'm immensely pleased to welcome all my dear participants who have connected from various corners of the nation. As I always say, your energetic participation and enthusiastic motivation are what is leading us forward and helping us organize many useful programs. Keep supporting us as always. I cordially welcome all HODs, staff members, and students of our most esteemed university for this national level webinar. I would be accused of ingratitude if I don't welcome my dearest colleagues come organizers of the Department of English, Mrs. A. Julie Elizabeth, head in charge, and assistant professors Ms. R. Akshya and Mrs. S. Jayamada. I also shouldn't forget the substantial support rendered by our system administrator of CS department, Mr. Ganesh Babu. I welcome him and once again welcome all of you for this thought-provoking webinar. Stay safe and stay healthy. Best wishes and thank you.
Thank you, Harshni ma'am. I now invite our young and dynamic Deputy Dean, Academics Phase 2, Dr. A.R. Arunachalak, to deliver the Felicitation Address. Do you know, sir?
So thank you, ma'am. So very good afternoon to one and all connected here. So on behalf of Dr. MGR Education Research Institute, Adayalampattu Phase II Campus, I would like to welcome you all to this national level webinar on familiarizing digital literature to digital natives, which has been conducted by Department of English. So first of all, I want to really thank our Honorable President, Engineer A.C.S. Arun Kumar sir, for his enormous support, motivation, and encouragement rendered towards us. And I am really grateful to him for his kind approval today to conduct this wonderful national level webinar. So next, I would like to congratulate the Department of English for taking enormous efforts towards conducting a lot of online activities, choosing new creative, innovative topics, I could say. And today we have another important topic which is going live now. So I really appreciate the head in charge, Mrs. Julie Elizabeth, ma'am, along with a team of strong faculty members. So it's a teamwork. Dr. P. Hashini ma'am, as well as Dr. S. Jayamada ma'am, along with Mrs. Akshay ma'am. And Jayamada ma'am. So they're all faculty members, and Akshay ma'am is also taking care of the technical part as well, along with the system administrator, Mr. Ganesh Babu. So it's a whole team effort which has been successfully organizing this webinar today. And I really welcome the resource person for today's session, Dr. M. Nagalakshmi, ma'am, Associate Professor of English, VISTAS, Pallavaram. So thank you so much, ma'am. Eminent people like you always play an important role for any kind of session. And today, thank you so much for accepting our invitation, spending your valuable time with us, sharing your knowledge with a huge number of participants who are watching this webinar live. So on behalf of Dr. MGR Education Research Institute, I once again welcome you to this national level webinar, and also thank you once again for accepting our invitation to take this wonderful session. Next, I would like to welcome all the participants. So participants are always very important for an online or whatever offline session, and I really appreciate and thank all the participants for registering for such kind of very useful webinars and attending all kinds of webinars which are going online now. So our university have been conducting a lot of online events during this pandemic period. All the departments have been conducting a lot of online activities, choosing recent trends, very important topics, need for the hour, and bringing in resource person from various institutions across the globe, as well as other industries as well. So today it's another day, another event which has been conducted from my university. So I really, on behalf of Dr. MGR Education Research Institute, I once again welcome all the participants, especially for this wonderful national level webinar. So definitely this session is going to add more value in terms of knowledge. So definitely at the end of the session, there will be a good takeaway also. So I wish this event a grand success, and I also wish the department all the best. So I also thank the department for inviting me to talk a few words about this about this event. So thank you once again. So have a great session. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for your beautiful and motivating address. It's now time to introduce erudite Dr. M. Nagalakshmi, our resource person, and we have Mrs. A. Julie Elizabeth, head in charge, who will take up this beautiful task of this introducing her to us. To you now, Julie, ma'am.
Thank you, Mrs. Jaimada. Very good evening to good afternoon to one and all. I am very much profusely overjoyed to take the opportunity in introducing our resource person of the day, Dr. M. Nagalakshmi, an associate professor of English at Wales Institute of Science and Technology and Advanced Studies, for a national level webinar on familiarizing digital literature to digital natives. Here we have a stunning profile of Dr. Nagalakshmi, which proves that she is a highly intellectual and learned personality. She holds various academic positions in her career. She has almost 21 years of teaching experience that includes 11 years in Muscat, Sultanate of Oman. Her experience includes teaching expertise in the English language and literature. Currently, she teaches UG and PG students of English and also supervises 10 research scholars. They have been appointed as an external evaluators of PhD thesis. She has designed various modules based on the level of students. Dr. Nagalakshmi is an IELTS trainer. Having been a doctoral degree in English, she has also qualified National Eligibility Test. She also holds a TEFL TESOL certificate along with an MBA degree program. In addition to this, she has done a certified course on health and safety environment and IQA Internal Quality Assured Award by EAL UK of NVQ programs. She has also designed course materials for technical English, HSC, and work ethics for NVOQ students of TATI Muscat Sultanate of Oman. Her areas of interest comprises English language teaching to ESL, EFL, feminism, post-colonial studies of India, British literature, electronic literature, and cultural studies. In her credit, she has also published more than 25 research articles in reputed peer-reviewed Scopus and UGC CARE list journals, conference volumes, and presented papers in international and national conferences. In addition with this, she chaired sessions in international conferences and acted as a resource person for various webinars. At present, she is editing volumes titled English in India and Patriarchal Ideologies in Post-Colonial India. We are honored by your presence on this day occasion, madam. We hope having a person like you will enlighten the delegates community with your rich knowledge on the electronic literature on the whole. May the Lord Almighty bless you with win more and more rollers to you in near futures. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie, ma'am. It was an impressive and stunning profile, ma'am. We are grateful to you, ma'am, for accepting our invitation instantly and raising the program today as our resource person. We are absolutely certain that your talk is going to be open to new frontier and be an extraordinary one, similar to you and fascinating profile. I now warmly invite you to the studio to enlighten the audience. To you now, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone. I feel honored and I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute for inviting me as a resource person for this national level webinar. I extend my sincere thanks to Dr. A.R. Arunachalam, Deputy Dean Academic, and Dr. Julie Elizabeth, the head HOD English Department, and Dr. P. Harshini and Ms. Akshaya and Ms. Jayamata, and thank each one of this esteemed institute. Can I share my screen?
Yes, ma'am. You can share your screen.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am. Your screen is visible.
It's my pleasure to be here to address the audience. The topic is familiarizing digital literature to digital natives. I think this topic is something very relevant to our present scenario. The teaching fraternity around the globe is experiencing and experimenting new technologies, ideologies, and numerous methods to teach the younger generation. I can rightly say that we, the digital immigrants, are trying our best to engage the digital natives. Digital natives, the younger generation, they prefer learning by doing rather than being told what to do or reading static books. Technology has been present on all their lives. They are very comfortable with all sorts of digital devices. The list of available digital technology changes quickly, and the digital natives adapt as soon as they arrive. The new technologies take over all the fields. Yes, it registers its presence in literature too. Literature crossed boundaries along back, readily accepted technology as well. Enhance your competency. Competency? Yes. Computer literacy and proficiency in using technology for academic purposes, because it is essential to teach this infant literature, that is digital literature. As we all know, literature is a body of written works. The author's imaginative works of poetry and prose are distinguished by the perceived aesthetic excellence of their execution. But we have to mention here in this definition the worldwide accepted definition of literature, and the thing which they never mention here, because it is not necessary to state, it is understood by everyone without even saying. Whatever the literary form it would be, we say in one word, print. Yeah, that is the significance of today's topic. So, what am I trying to say? This digital literature is not the PDF books which we usually download free most of the time from the internet. Oops, no. Then what is this digital literature? How is it different from print literature? Do they really exist? There are many more questions in our minds. Do people read this as a separate form of literature? You have got thousands of questions in a fraction of a second. Most of us are learning the virtual platforms like Zoom Meet, Google Meet, Google Classroom, or Microsoft Classrooms very recently. Why? Because of this COVID-19 pandemic. So, let me brief you about this digital literature. How and where do we find the collections of digital literature? I start with the definition of digital literature. Like any other art form, literature is constantly subject to change over by course of time. The invention of the computer has initiated the digital age. Electronic literature essentially must be electronic and literary. Even we cannot define the literary, we can at least recognize it. And from recognition, we can begin to build meaning. Digital literature has been theorized and critiqued in various ways, but it remains as ambiguous as ever. It is ambiguous because it is amorphous. And for each trait that might be classified, a new form or potential emerges from previously unanticipated evolutions or juxtapositions. We can retain the idea that the mere fact of being produced on a computer is not enough to characterize digital literature. Digital literature uses the affordances of the computer to dynamically render the story. If an e-reader simply displays text in the way a printed book displays text, the only difference being that the text is one scroll rather than turns a page. That is not digital literature. It is printed work digitized for optimal display in a portable computational environment. Digital literature is algorithmic. It changes as the reader engages it. It consistently relies on language and computation. The latter establishes the meaningful rules that manipulates the former, sometimes based on reader interactions. Digitized and digital literature differ in their presentation and expression. Digital literature, digitized literature, mirrors the codex on a screen, whereas digital literature allows computer-driven transformation to occur beyond the surface. The impact of the digital is not merely seen in the display, but embedded in the space for which it was developed, written, or coded. The digital space, which while commutative, cannot be without the technical affordances of its underlying systems. So, one thing is obvious. What is it? The reader of electronic literature must be tech savvy. The world is getting digitalized day by day. Literature is not confined and it allows all other disciplines to amalgamate to produce new genres and theories. Digital literature is one such thing. Electronic literature organization. The electronic literature organization, we can say digital literature or electronic literature. The electronic literature organization was founded in 1999 to foster and promote the reading, writing, teaching, and understanding of literature as it develops and persists in a changing digital environment. The mission of this organization is to promote the writing, publishing, and reading of literature in electronic media. Convened a committee headed by Noah Wadrip Freen, he himself a creator and critic of digital literature. to come up with a definition appropriate to this new field, to this infant literature. Robert Coover brought electronic literature to the public attention with his essay, The End of Books, in 1992. He later became one of the founding members of the Electronic Literature Organization. Christopher Strachey, a love letter generator created by Christopher Strachey for the Manchester Mark I computer in 1952, is considered the first example of digital work. So, according to the ELO, that is Electronic Literature Organization, the role of computer in the process of creating the text is very important and offers many conceptual, visual, oral, and interactive opportunities. However, one thing is very clear: reading and writing still play an essential role in digital literature. The collection of 60 composed works of electronic literature offers readers an opportunity to browse by genre. The electronic literature collection embraces a range of technologies. So we need to have the kind of technical software to read certain works of electronic literature. A range of technologies including ambient, animation, kinetic, constraint-based procedural, generative, flash, JavaScript, shockwave, and VRML. So probably we may know some of the software we can use for other purposes also: flash, JavaScript, shockwave, and all. Those who are playing video games may know many of the softwares. ELO published the first collected volume in 2006 and the second in 2011, and followed by the third in 2016. Thanks to the evolution in technology, electronic or digital poetry experiments began in the 1960s. The hardware and graphical programs were developed in the 1960s. A few poets started to use digital tools to create visual poems. Visual poems. When the technology became available, artists started to create digital static and animated works and to manipulate language to increase visual properties. Digital literature is not just a thing or a medium or even a body of works in various genres. It is not poetry, fiction, hypertext, gaming, code work are some new admixtures of all these practices. Electronic literature is arguably an emerging cultural form, as much a collective creation of terms, keywords, genres, structures, and institutions, as it is the production of new literary objects. Such literature has been produced for more than 50 years, with the first known example being Christopher Strachey's 1952 love letter generator for the Manchester Mark I computer. Hall has divided the 20th century electronic literature into the first generation and the second generation, with the break coming around 1995. According to her, the first generation classical works include hypertext fiction. The later seems more contemporary or postmodern. Some works were published as a CD-ROM book. I have given here as slides for the first and second generation works of electronic literature. Later, I will share the links with you all to browse on your own. So let's see the genres of digital literature. E-poetry. According to the official website created by Leonard Flowers, and he defined as poetry that arises from an engagement with the possibilities offered by digital media. It is also known as electronic poetry or digital poetry. Essentially, it is a poetic genre of electronic literature created by the mediums of online data, algorithms, coding, frequencies, photos, and other electronic platforms that can produce words, movement, and art for the public. E-poets think through the process of the digital medium, and Alexander Flores created the e-poetry website as a hub for e-poets to come together, post their work, and view and give feedback on work done by others. E-poetry's history parallels that of the digital computer. When the technology updates with the new additions of hardware, software, and programming, e-poetry adapts to these technological innovations. Flowers divided e-poetry into multiple genres based on their internal technological origin. Generative poetry. This genre is produced by programming algorithms and drawing from corpora, that is a language resource consisting of a large and structured set of text, to create poetic lines. This is an example of generative poetry. It is the oldest e-poetic genre and remains relevant today through e-literary genres such as bots, that is computing an autonomous program on a network, especially in internet, which can interact with systems or users, especially one designed to behave like a player in some video games. Let's see this how we can read this. I have given here the link. Using this link, hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, ma'am, your screen is visible, so I'll just make it in a full slide.
Yeah. Frequency. So this is the oldest apoetic genre and still relevant today, right? So what is their specialty? You have seen a poem here. You know the meaning of frequency. You can see what will happen to this now. So it's a program that every set of program frequency, you get a different set of poem here. That is the specialty of this generative poetry. The next is chord poetry. This genre is meant to be presented for dual audience, humans and computers. It incorporates both notions of classic poetry and computer code. For example, a computer may assemble words and generate them into lines of poetry, and person may verbally read them aloud to an audience. As long as the poem was written with coding practices, it is considered code poetry. Stanford University holds an annual Court Poetry Slam for his computer science majors in 2013. You can see this video in ELO collections. Visual digital poetry. This genre emphasizes the power of visual element of media writing, a poem for its viewer to read and understand. It is controlled by the relationship between the movement, action, and the sound of the visual on the screen. So, the relationship determines the structure of the poem. You can see the poem puddle. You know the meaning of the word puddle, right? So, this is the visual effect of the word puddle. You can see here only few letters gives optimal. I can show you another example. Hope my screen is visible. It's a visual treat, right? The next genre is kinetic poetry. This poetic genre utilizes the computer's ability to display, animation, and changing information over time. It's like something like frequency, right? Kinetic poetry. The next is multimedia poetry. This genre incorporates audio, video, images, text, and other modes of communication to formulate poetic language. For all these genres, you have collection of work in ELO's first volume, second volume, and third volume. I'll share the links so you can browse on your own. I have given only few examples to get the visual treat. The next is interactive poetry. This genre incorporates the viewer's understanding and input calculated through their process of reading and exploring an e-poem. As a person reads and engages in an interactive poem, they click to find different pages and read various elements to fully grasp the narrative behind the poem. The poem Gabriela Infinita, written by Jane Alejandro, is a story that has no table of contents to the reader to follow, but rather a rich array of lexia, images, and audio files. So you have to give permission to Adobe Flash Player to read this poem. I'll just show you where it is. You can browse on your own and read. This is the way you have to see here. And you can change the language also. I have not given permission to adapt Flash because of other poems. It may get interrupted. That's the thing. So you can go on your own, browse this, and you can read. The next one is hypertext poetry. It incorporates words, visuals, sound, and media to create a poem or story for the reader to follow by clicking each element. It is a form of interactive poetry, but rather incorporates sound and automatic words caused by clicking to create a story for the viewer to see. Even though it's a poetry genre, it has a story within it. Wherever the viewer clicks and explores does not matter in hypertext poetry. Whereas in interactive poetry, the order of interaction is influential to how the viewer analyzes the text. That is the only difference between hypertext poetry and interactive poetry. Interactive poetry, the order is essential to understand the meaning, right? For hypertext poetry, it is not essential. And we know what is hypertext because when we browse something, we know for certain words, it has hyperlink so that when you click, you will get the meaning of that word. This is the similar form in hypertext poetry also. So there is no problem wherever the viewer clicks and explores in hypertext poetry. We have seen so many genres, so many kinds of poetry, e-poetry. Now let's see the different kinds of fiction, interactive fiction. For the first time, you are more than a passive reader. You can talk to the story in full English sentences, and the story talks right back. Communicating entirely in vividly descriptive prose. What's more, you can shape the story's course of events through your choice of action. And you have hundreds of alternatives at every step. Yes. The beginner's guide to playing interactive fiction defines interactive fiction as both a computer game and a book, or rather something in between. Interactive fiction is a type of electronic literature that is similar to a computer game because the player takes on the role of the main character and must be text commands to control the game and the characters. So when you click this one, you will get the tutorial for how to play the interactive fiction. Examples of text commands. Or listen, or take it. You have to view the interactive fiction card for more examples of text commands. This is where the interactive element plays a major role because the player has to tell the main character what to do to solve the puzzles in the game. So each time the player solves the puzzle, they can find out more information, and the story will eventually begin to accrete meaning. Interactive fiction is similar to a book because all the different puzzles that need to be solved in the game are similar to chapters in a book, which tells a story. It is different and unique compared to other kinds of fiction because the player determines how the plot of the game will unfold based on how well they play the game. It is very easy to flip through the pages of a book and find out what happens in the end. But interactive fiction poses a challenge for its players and requires its player to solve the puzzles to get the end. So, you have to go like this and you can see things here. You have to begin here. So they have given here the details, the year, the fiction published, the language, keywords, right? Keywords, hypertext, and interactive fiction. So using these keywords, you can find the collections, right? The volume, ELO, volume 1, volume 2, volume 3. If you want to take this story, you have to find these keywords there. With using keywords, you can go to this page. Clicking those keywords, you will get a plenty of words open. Then you have to go to this particular book, that interactive fiction, book name. You can find that book name there and click that and you can enter to this page. Hypertext fiction. We have seen here hypertext poetry, now hypertext fiction. Hypertext fiction is a genre of electronic literature or digital literature characterized by the use of hypertext links, which provides a new context for non-linearity in literature. We know that hypertext means non-linearity because it has to. When you click the hyperlink, then it opens under under way, right? So there is no linear fashion. Linearity in literature and reader interaction. The reader typically chooses links to move from one node to the next. And in this fashion, arranges a story from a deeper pool of potential stories. Its spread can also be seen in interactive fiction, right? You can see somewhat in that interactive fiction also, in that puzzle, maybe you can see some irrelevant elements in that scene. So you have to carefully observe all those things. It might be useful to go to the next chapter. It may be the key to the next chapter. Multimedia and narrative games. Video games have become a new form of literature without much fanfare. People still refer to the 1970s and 80s as the glory days of interactive fiction, a time when computers were giving choose your own adventure stories a new lease of life. But technology has come a long way since then, and so too has our ability to capture the hallmarks of literature in digital form. I have given here this game. This is quite a difficult game because, as I told you in the beginning itself, we, the digital immigrants, really find difficult time to play these video games. Whereas the digital natives, you can just give the link to them. You can just, familiarize the world to them. They will tell you, they will teach you better. I'll just show this. So this is the way they have given here. This is how you will die, and you have to begin. I tried this game. I have been trying. I couldn't reach 2 or 3 levels more. Whereas if I give this to my son, probably he will finish maybe within 2 or 3 hours. This is how the digital natives are. You can try on your own, but this is really interesting. Creators of digital fiction are using rich virtual worlds to make their stories engaging. We all know when we have come upon a good story because we want to stay in it. We want to know how it ends. We want to go over it again to be sure that we haven't missed something the first time around, because there is pleasure in knowing and unknowing. A feeling that there might be more story to be revealed, hidden somewhere in the game world. That is what, when you play the video games, the kind of feeling you get. Locative fiction. As the name indicates, this fiction developed when GPS technology got introduced. We all know the technology of GPS. We use for a different purpose. Here they say for a different purpose. The term locative fiction encompassed a wide range of e-literature styles such as net art, kinetic poetry, or even hypertext fiction can also be wholly digital, such as a story that appears on your phone or could be augmented or even virtual reality. Locative narrative embeds their story to a particular location using the technology, and users read or listen to them using a mobile device. It appeared as the invention and development of mobile devices. Unlike traditional literature, which is written on paper, electronic literature was designed for digital technologies. It exists on computers, on the internet. On CDs, DVDs, and it can take the form of performances or installation. The digital word can be programmed to self-generate, as we have seen in various genres, right? In various types of poems, generative, self-generate, and move, respond to reader actions, change over time, as we have seen in frequency, right? And much more. So, electronic literature breathes new life into the perennial question, what is literature? By moving beyond words to sound, graphic, gestures, and spatial complexity in literary forms. It offers opportunities to foster cross disciplinary literaries in the classroom, challenging students to understand how different modalities such as sight, sound, color, form, animation, and gesture work together to create powerful and new kinds of aesthetic experiences. So it is understood that this digital literature is an emerging field of literature for our future generation literary field. According to me, this new literature is thrilling, exciting, enticing, and learning literature in new perspective. Like many, I am not comfortable to read many poems and video games, but I cannot deny the fact that it kindles my curiosity to unfold the puzzles behind this new genre. I have given here the references. Giving an introduction about this new digital born literature does not affect or reduce my interest toward the print literature. In fact, because of this, I am getting fascinated more to print literature. Thank you all for patient listening.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your topic presentation and sharing your deep knowledge with us. And so, with your permission, kindly we will move to the question and answer session. So the first question is: has the advent of digital literature encouraged the trend of plagiarism, and
Your
how is
voice is
author?
your voice is not audible, ma'am.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah.
Has the advent of digital literature
Mm.
encouraged the trend of plagiarism, and how it affected the field of literature?
Digital literature and digitized literature, there is a big difference between digitized literature and digital literature. I think digitized literature, they are talking about plagiarism and all. Digitized literature, the thing which we type, and then for the purpose of for the purpose of convenient, we type it and we make it as a PDF and we put it in the internet for later purpose. We can refer those things for our research purposes. That is digitized literature. Digital literature, we cannot plagiarize anything in digital literature. No, you have to have really a thorough knowledge of computer, because we know now literature, interdisciplinary researchers are going on. There are plenty of theses available now. So literature now paves way for the computer science major to collaborate and give more literary works on digital platform. So there is no such a thing plagiarism in digital literature.
Thank you, ma'am. And the second question is: literature is a medium of expression of feeling and thought. According to you, is this possible in digital literature?
Yes, of course it is possible, because we usually think that science and art people in a different way. The science people are give importance to reason, and art people are giving importance to feelings and thoughts. Maybe this is a bridge between these two feelings.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. The third question is: will the spontaneous of overflow of a powerful feeling in a poet and the reactive enjoyment of the reader get affected by the dominance of a literature for digital poetry?
The spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings Actually, in 20th century itself, there are different critics against this spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, right? With the various theories. So probably in digital poetry, this is infant literature. So maybe later there are such poets like romantic poets, and there are such poets like T.S. Eliot, 20th century poets will come and will argue these two things.
Thank you, ma'am. And the fourth
Welcome.
question is, ma'am, do you think the digital poetry and digital fiction are more interactive and interesting for the students to understand the concept?
Probably, for us digital immigrants, because as I said earlier, even I'm not very comfortable with the sort of things. I really learned certain things to my son from my son because he is in class 12, but I can learn many things. Even the teachers are learning many things from the students, especially for this online platform. So the interactive, as I said, in the interactive fiction. 1 minute, 1 minute. My computer is 1 minute.
Participants, please
Yes.
put your queries in the chat box so that we will clear your doubts from yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
So the thing is, when the interactive fiction is like unfolding video games. When you play, I don't think that the digital immigrants, those who are in their 30s or 40s, find difficult or uninterested playing such video games. But when you see, when you give these kind of things to digital natives, they are very familiar. They know how to unfold these things very clearly. So they may get, different perspective and different, they can find different concept indeed. So
Okay, thank
what I'm saying is we need to familiarize this field to them so that we can get more information from them.
okay, thank you, ma'am. And
Welcome.
the next question is, if we want to use a digital medium for promoting, introduce the literature, what will be the best methodology to adapt?
If we want to promote digital,
Promoting ingenious literature, what will be the best methodology to adapt?
digital literature, as I have given here, the ELO site, we can familiarize the sites, and we can familiarize the genres, we can familiarize the software required to read those materials, then they will do, the digital natives can do.
Yeah, okay, thank you, ma'am. We finished all the questions. Thank
Thank
you for
you,
your
thank you,
valuable answers.
thank
We
you,
now
ma'am.
have Ms. R. Akshaya, Assistant Professor, Department of English, who is all set the frequently waiting with the immense gratitude for everyone who helped in the successful conducting of today's webinar. I shall call her now to the studio to propose the vote of thanks. To you now, Akshaya, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Jay Mata ma'am. Thank you, everyone. So, on behalf of organizing team, it's my privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. My heart fills with lots of gratitude and respect to a distinguished speaker of the day, Dr. Nagalakshmi Madam, for sparing her valuable time by sharing her knowledge to all the participants on the topic familiarizing digital literature to the digital natives. Ma'am, it was an interactive presentation that gave a deeper insight to the participants on the familiarity of digital literature and how to adopt it in the digital classroom. Once again, thank you, ma'am. I'm running short of words to express my heartfelt thanks to our management and our Honorable President, Engineer ACS Arun Kumar sir, for his support and guidance he has extended to all of us in our department. I'm extremely thankful to our joint registrar, Dr. S. Ramalingam, respected Dean Dr. S. Manivannan, Deputy Dean, both academics, A.R. Arunachalam, and Professor K. Sendil Kumar, administration, for their enormous support and guidance in conducting various programs. Above and beyond, let's not forget the backbone of this webinar, my department colleagues, come organizer, Mrs. A. Julie Elizabeth, Professor Dr. P. Hashini, and Mrs. S. Jayamata for their coordination and enormous support for making this event a grand success. Last but not least, I thank all participants for making this event a resounding success. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Akshaya ma'am. It's now time to witness a spectacular and memorable moment. Our resource person of today, Dr. M. Nagalakshmi, has done a remarkable job of enlightening the participants from all over the nation with a profound knowledge. It hence becomes our bound privilege and duty on behalf of our extreme university to appreciate him for his selfless sharing of knowledge to the academic community. I request Ms. R. Akshaya to display the appreciation certificate as a token of our immense gratitude through this virtual studio. Thank you, Akshaya ma'am. Now, dear participants, this is again information for you. The feedback link is displayed in a bright yellow and active in the YouTube description box. You are requested to click, fill and submit the form before 6 p.m. Indian time today to instantly receive your certificate in your registered emails. The form will be deactivated after 6 p.m. Ever since the inception of our virtual program, it has been policy of our university to avoid sharing the presentation slides to the participants, but still we are happy to let you know that a video will ever available in our YouTube channel for you view at any moment for comforts of your place. We have now come to a fag end of the program, and we are extremely positive that the academic world would have gained the needed knowledge out of the topic. With weighty gratification of presentation and a fine webinar, find a workshop of the national significance, we wish a signing off and hope you to meet all in the next program. Keep supporting us as always. A deep dear participants, and do not forget to click the big fat like button and also subscribe our YouTube channel, Dr. MGR University Phase II Digital Learning, for further updates about our programs and videos. The outbreak of this deadly pandemic record for all of us to say stay safe and healthy. Let's follow and overcome this together. Thank you all. Bye till we meet again. Thank you.